Welcome back, everybody. We got Luke Yuri in the house. Luke's a trader from Canada. He's been working with us for a little bit, shown tremendous amounts of progress. Wanted to pick his brain and see what's been working for him. Luke, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
So, Luke, you want to talk to us about your trading, and then let's actually work backwards. So let's go for the last 6 months, how your trading has improved, and then we can maybe go back to a backstory of how
Sure.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. I found out about you guys, I think back in maybe late October, November. Trading was going before that. I wouldn't say well, it was kind of 50-50. I was using a breakout strategy, which wasn't really working that well. Getting a little bit frustrated with trading, to be honest. Well, if we take it back even further, my trading journey's been about a year now, a little over a year. And just kind of, similar start to a lot of traders. Was started with forex, was looking at probably far too many forex pairs and having a tough time getting, the sense or a feel of individual pairs, just looking at way too many. And I was using a breakout strategy, which was working, 50%, maybe less time. The win rate wasn't great. So honestly, was getting a little frustrated with trading, and came across you guys and on Instagram actually, and signed up for the Masterclass, the NAS Masterclass. Took that, and that's kind of when everything changed for me. I kicked out all the forex pairs. I only look at NASDAQ now. I actually started looking at US 30 and gold a bit, but mostly NASDAQ. And really learned some structure from you guys, and it's just a great strategy. Yeah.
Awesome. What was it about the class that got you to stick to one instrument? And then how has that transition been from having a bunch of different options to just focusing on one thing?
Oh, dude, mentally, it's so much better just focusing on one thing, and you really get to know, how NASDAQ moves, and you can't predict anything, obviously, but you really get a sense. You really get a feel for it, especially throughout the day, through the market open, when there's usually a huge movement, whether it's buy or sell or up or down, and then it starts to form some structure, and then you can usually take a trade. But with forex pairs, I never got that feeling from any forex pair. You know what I mean? Probably because I was looking at way too many. But yeah, I think that was the big first one for me. And then and just creating a system and managing that system, and really sticking to it was really important. Yeah.
That's good. So those are two really important things you mentioned. Number one, having a central focus on one pair so that you can build the familiarity with it. People kind of get discouraged with Forex and then they end up moving to something else, because I think that's exactly what it is. It's not like they didn't understand it, but when you're looking at 15 different things, how can you become a master at one? So I think that's dope. Now, the second thing you mentioned was building a good system. So how was the process of building a system? Like, did you have one before, or was this a new concept to you?
I had a loose one before, but I kept breaking my rules, so I didn't stick to it. I was always changing my rules. Like, every trade was different. So something would work on one pair, it wouldn't work on the other. So I was always adjusting these rules, and it would work one day and it wouldn't work the other day. So I never had a really, really solid structure until I came, I learned from you guys. So yeah, it's just creating that structure has been very, very important to me, and not just simple things like not trading after hours, and sticking to a time frame. Like, it seems so silly, but it's made me so much more successful.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've been working personally, so I have some insight on this, but I think
Yeah.
tailoring the structure to your personality, your schedule, and your risk tolerance,
Totally.
would you say that that's what helped the consistency? Because before you probably didn't have something that you were doing every time.
100%. 100%.
There you
Yeah,
go.
as you know, I'm on the West Coast, so I'm up early anyways, because I have a full-time job. I'm a construction superintendent, so I look after large construction projects. So market open for me is at 6:30. I'm up. I'm usually in the gym before that, even, and then I'm on the charts usually around 6. Night before, I'm looking for structure, watching news, setting up to see what I think is going to happen in the morning, and then I'm jumping in around 6 a.m., which is 9 Eastern. And when that market opens is usually when I'm looking to see what happens, the first impulse, and then grabbing a buy or sell or whatever's going on that day.
There you go.
Yeah.
So a lot of traders who are going to listen to this later are probably struggling with different parts of their journey. Some folks just don't have a system at all. Some
Yeah.
folks have a system and they're just not sticking with it. And some folks have a system, they're sticking with it, but they're inconsistent. So
Hmm.
you're still pretty new in your trading journey and you've made some progress. Do you feel like you've gone through all those phases and it was just crunched in, or do you feel like there's still some of those you just got to skip?
Yeah, I think I definitely have experienced most of those phases. I may have like, turboed through a few of them, but I think if anything, the most important thing was picking a time, and not just picking a time, but picking a time when you can actually show up to that time every day and be focused. You know what I mean? It's not just, okay, I got an hour here, an hour there. You need to figure when that time is for you, and really show up for it and be prepared for it
Did you
with a
pick
clear
that
mind.
time based on what you wanted, or based on how the instrument you're trading moved, or how'd you pick that time?
Well, it worked. It actually worked out because it's the time I wanted, and it's the time NASDAQ is the best. So
There you go. Walk me through a little kind of, so the learning phase of trading and how you were fitting that into your schedule versus, because now it seems like you have a pretty good system for yourself. But when you were in the learning stages, which is where a lot of folks might be now, how are you balancing work, family, all this stuff with learning? And then what are some tips that you could kind of give yourself if you were to go back and do it again?
yeah, good question. So my learning has always been after hours. So back testing kind of, when the market's closed, or, I guess the market's not really closed, but after hours in the evenings. And I would say if there's any advice I would give is don't put too much pressure on yourself when you're learning, and give it time. Like I always I was frustrated when I wasn't getting it, and I wanted to really understand it quickly. It's just taking the time to back test and stick to your strategy, and really create the rules that are going to work for you. And
I'm going to ask this
yeah,
question. I usually ask this question to some of the podcast guests on the Expert Trader, but I think it's just such a powerful question, which is, if you were to leave your family, or leave, like, let's say you have a son and he was going to be a trader, and you got to leave him 2 or 3 pieces of advice, what would those, and that's the only thing you could leave, what would those 2 or 3 pieces be?
oh damn, okay, 2 or 3 pieces. I'd say this isn't a get rich quick thing. You got to put the time in. I came into trading thinking, oh, I can make all this money right away, blah blah blah. But it's not. Trading's not a get rich quick. It could be, but if you want to be consistent and you want to make this a long-term thing, put the time in and learn it, and scale it up is number 2. Simplicity scale. So scale this thing up. Start small. Have a good system, and just, if it's a winning system and it's small, scale it up.
That's incredible. All right.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I'd
bro,
say those 2 things.
there's so many more questions I'm going to ask you, but I think we'll get you back on for a round 2 once you hop on the Expert Trader podcast.
Yeah, so
I think that this is a perfect summary of what you did to reach so much success in a short amount of time. And you mentioned first having a long-term approach for trading, which I think is so crucial. You're like, not a get rich quick. It's going to take time. I'm going to start here and then scale. If everybody adopted that, they wouldn't be rushing the process and having to start over and over again. That's so good. Having a clear system, and one that you can stick to. So you have to build it in a way that speaks to you, that you can apply. Sticking to one thing, as opposed to having your attention split across 20 different pairs. And then simplicity scales and complexity fails. I think those are so good. Is there anything that you would add? Like, if someone's listening to this and really doubting, struggling, actually, one more question about community, because I've actually been having this talk with some folks. Some people find being in a community distracting. Some folks find it engaging and beneficial. And I know it's a personality thing, but what do you think about trading with community versus alone?
I like it. Like, I love being in a Discord group. I think, especially, if I'm learning, it's been great. The thing I try not to do is, I love when everyone shares their charts and their ideas and stuff. I do as well, but I try not to pay too much attention to other people's charts, because then I'm like, oh, you have your support here, your resistance here, and and I'm like, okay, wait, like, I have my rules. I'm not trying to change my levels and to match someone else's charts. It's great to see. I think I've changed my mindset. Before, I'd be looking at everyone's charts and comparing them to mine. It's nice to see those ideas and see, like, the thought process it took to get there, but also sticking to your system, going back to basics and just doing your thing. Yeah,
It takes
so I
time
love
to
it.
build that confidence, to be
Yeah,
able to be around other traders, and then to take that information in without
yeah,
allowing it to change your mind. And that just speaks to how, I want to say sure, but how confident you've become in the system that you have set up, which is
that's
just
it.
so
Yeah,
good to see, because now you can just scale it up and keep the momentum going. Luke, I appreciate you sharing with us. Ladies and gentlemen, come and hang out with me and Luke in the Chart Addict group chat. We'll catch you guys on the live streams.